Hello again and welcome to my channel. This tutorial is for the Primrose stitch. It's a nice easy 2-row pattern once we've got the foundation row, and it makes a really nice blanket or a scarf. You can even use 2 pattern repeats to add a border to a project. So I'm using a double knit yarn and a 5mm hook. And we're going to start with a chain, and the chain needs to be in multiples of 3. So for this particular swatch that I'm doing now, I'm just going to do a chain of 18, but if you want a bigger project, you can just do as many chains as you want the width to be, as long as it's in the multiples of 3. So we start with a slip knot onto the hook, and away we go with the chain. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. So that's giving me the multiples of 3. If you want to pause the video until you've got your width of chain that you want to work with, and then come back to us. So into the 4th chain from the hook, which is this one, 1, 2, 3 and 4, we're going to work a single crochet, 2 chain and another single crochet into that same chain. We're now going to skip 2 chains. There's 1 and 2. We're going to do the same again into the next stitch. Excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. So we've done into the 4th chain, we've got a single, 2 chain and a single. We've skipped 2 chains and we've done a single. We now do a 2 chain and another single into that same chain. Skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and work a single, 2 chains and a single into the next chain. So we're going to do this all the way along our chain, working a single, 2 chains and a single after we've skipped the 2 chains. So I'm just going to skip the next 2, which is 1, 2, and work a single, 2 chain and a single back into that same chain space. Skip the next 2 stitches and work a single, 2 chain and a single. We're now left with 2 chains at the end. We're going to skip a chain. We're going to work a half double into the very last chain. So that's yarn over, pick up a loop, pull it through, yarn over. We've got 3 loops on the hook and we're going to come through all 3 at the same time. Going to turn over, and the first stitch on this side we're going to use 3 chain, and that's going to count as the first double. So this next row we're just going to work 3 doubles into each of the 2 chain spaces that we created on the previous row. So we've got 1, 2 and 3. We're going to skip the stitches in between. We're going to go straight across to this 2 chain space here, and again we're going to work 3 doubles into that chain space. So we've got 1, 2 and 3. Skip the stitches in between over to this next 2 chain space, and we're going to work 3 doubles into that chain space, and then just work all the way across the row, working 3 doubles into each of these 2 chain spaces. There's 1, 2 and 3. Over to the final 2 chain space, I'm going to work 3 doubles into that space. So once you've come to the end of the row, we're left with the first 3 chain space from the first row. We're going to do a double into the top of the chain. So there we've got the first pattern repeat. We've got the foundation row and then row 2. So we're going to turn over and we're going to start this row with a chain 2, and that counts as a half double. We're going to skip this first stitch here, and into the middle double from the cluster of 3 on the previous row, we're going to work a single, 2 chain and another single into that same stitch. We're going to skip the next double. We're going to skip the first double of the next block of 3, so we're working into this middle stitch here, and we're going to work a single, 2 chain and another single. So we're just working into the middle double of these blocks of 3 from the previous row, and in each one all the way across we're going to do the same: 1 single, 2 chain and another single into that same space. Skip the next 2 stitches, into the next stitch, work 1 single, 2 chain and another single, over to the last block of 3, where we're going to work a single, 2 chain and a single all into that middle stitch there. And then we're going to come to this last stitch, which was the 3 chain that started the previous row, and we're going to do a half double into the top of that 3 chain. Turn over and we start the row again with 3 chain. That's going to count as the first double, and then we're going to skip to the 2 chain space here, and we're going to work 3 doubles into that 2 chain space. We skip across to the next 2 chain space here, and again we just work 3 doubles into that chain space. So again we're just going to work across the row, just working 3 doubles into each of the chain spaces until you come to the end. There's 1, 2 and 3, over to the next 2 chain space and work 3 doubles into that chain space, over to the last 2 chain space, and we're going to work 3 doubles again. that brings us to the end of this row, where we had the half double at the beginning of the row, which is the 2 chain, and we're just going to work a double into that final stitch. That will keep the edges nice and straight. So again, we're going to flip over, work 2 chain, and then we're going to go straight into the middle double of these 3 doubles here. So we're skipping this first stitch, we're going straight into this next stitch where we work a single, 2 chain and a single, skip 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 single, 2 chain, 1 single, and just carry on all the way along, working just into the middle stitch of these 3 on each block of 3, where we're working 1 single, 2 chains and 1 single. 2 chain, 1 single, 1 single, 2 chain, 1 single, 1 single, 2 chain, and again a final single. Then we're going to do the half double into the top of the start stitch on the previous row, flip over, start with the 3 chain, and we're ready now to do the 3 doubles into each of these 2 chain spaces across the row. So we've got 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Just work the same all the way across the row, and these two rows form the pattern, so there's only the 2 rows to remember. One row is forming the leaves, and the row that we're working on now is forming the little primrose flower. As you get to the end of the row, we're always going to do a double into the last stitch, and then we turn over, and again, oops, sorry about that, we turn over, and again we'll start with the 2 chain, and then we're back into the centre double from the previous row with the single, the 2 chains and the single. And you just keep working those 2 rows for as many, for however big you want your project to be, whatever length you want it to be. But like I said, there's just 2 rows to the pattern, and it's a nice easy pattern to do. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.